You work hard every day. You wake up early, sit in traffic, work all day. You've been told that if you just put in the hours, climb the ladder, save a little here and there, you'll eventually get ahead. But if that were true, wouldn't you already be there by now? School, job, hustle. Why does it feel like you're still falling behind? Here's the truth. If hard work alone made people rich, the world would look very different. In the next 7 minutes, I'm going to break it down for you. Why the system feels rigged, what you've been missing, and how to finally flip the equation in your favor. This isn't some motivational speech, and I'm not here to sell you anything. But if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right and still falling behind, you need to see this. To really understand money, we need to start with one simple question. What exactly is money? Simply put, money is a store of value, a placeholder we all agree on. A Picasso painting sells for millions, not because of the canvas, but because we believe it's priceless. Belief. That's what gives money its value. Okay, so money is a store of value. Now what? How does this help me? Well, since money is just a store of value, the more value you create, the more money you earn. But how do you provide value? Think about it. Every dollar you've ever spent, it wasn't for the product, it was for a solution. You didn't buy Netflix. You bought unlimited entertainment. You didn't pay for dinner. You paid for convenience, taste, or time with friends. That's value. And that's what people pay for. You trade your time for money, but your time is limited. So if you want to grow beyond that limit, you need to think bigger. You need leverage. After going through countless interviews and podcasts, I've distilled the entire process in just 4 simple steps. Learning a high-paying skill is perhaps the most important step in this process. Skills like coding, design, video editing, copywriting are in demand and pay well. You put in the work and you learn something new. That's great. But here's the thing. Unless people are willing to pay for what you know, it doesn't really matter. You see, learning is just one part of the equation. To turn that knowledge into a product, there needs to be a demand. So, how do you validate your idea? Simple. Start with what's already out there. Head to YouTube and search your topic. If there are tons of channels covering it, like coding tutorials, that's a strong sign of interest. Go to public forums like Reddit or Quora. See what people are asking, what's getting the most attention. Look for patterns. I know you're very excited to start your new business, but do not rush this step. It's imperative that you get this right, otherwise all your hard work would be for nothing. Now comes the fun part, starting your business. But where exactly do you start? Just take the first step, launch something small. This stage is all about traction, not perfection. Solving problems is the foundation, but it's not enough to take you all the way. If you're solving problems for a small group of people, there's a limit to how far you can scale. Eventually, you hit a ceiling on your time, your energy, and your income. That's where systems come in play. Think about all the big companies like Netflix, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. What do they all have in common? Scalability. They've built systems that allow them to serve millions of people without being limited by time or manpower. Your impact determines your worth. Impact millions, and you'll be worth millions. Impact billions, you'll be worth billions. Take teaching, for example. If you're teaching coding one-on-one, your income is directly tied to your time. But if you record those lessons and turn them into a course, now you're building a system, one that runs 24/7, reaches people globally, and scales without burning you out. Same logic applies to products. Drop shipping means dealing with inventory, shipping, customer returns. But digital access? A Patreon membership? An ebook? A subscription-based tool? That scales infinitely. But let's be clear, this isn't easy. Financial freedom doesn't happen overnight. It takes deliberate, consistent, and often uncomfortable effort. We're talking late nights, early mornings, skipped weekends. and sacrifices most people aren't willing to make. That's the price, and the reason why so few actually get there. And here's the hard truth. Even if you do everything right, it's still a gamble. This framework, it's your map, but there are no guarantees. That's why I want you to take a moment and really think this through. Because the goal isn't to chase someone else's version of success. It's to define your own. And if that means working a 9 to 5 doing something you love, that's not failure. That's actually winning. So, whether you choose the traditional route or take the risk and build your own, just make sure it's what you truly want, because that's what freedom really is. But here's the thing. Whether or not you want financial freedom, there's one factor that applies to everyone. Something even more important than income or business growth. Your relationship with money is the single biggest factor in your financial health. Broadly speaking, that relationship consists of two parts: inflow and outflow. Inflow includes all your sources of income, your salary, investments, rental income, any source of earnings. Outflow includes all your expenses, such as food, rent, electricity, and all other bills. The difference between inflow and outflow is what I like to call your margin of safety. Higher the margin of safety, the better. The reality is, if your expenses rise just as fast as your income, you'll always be stuck living paycheck to paycheck. That's why so many celebrities, despite earning millions, end up bankrupt. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep. While managing money is a separate topic in and of itself, here are a few tips to get you started. First, build an emergency fund. Set aside 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses and stash it somewhere safe. This is only for real emergencies: job loss, medical bills, unexpected crises. You get the point. Not a new phone, not a last-minute vacation. Second, start budgeting. A simple Excel sheet does the job just fine. Once you know where your money's going, it's much easier to cut back on unnecessary spending. And last but not least, stop comparing yourself to others. Your neighbor gets a new car, you gotta get one too. Your friend upgrades their phone, you gotta buy one too. It doesn't matter whether you are financially capable or not, you need to keep up. But here's the truth. As long as you're chasing societal standards and using them as your measure of success, you'll never be free. Because there's always someone with more. A better car, a bigger house, a fancier title. The only way to win the game is to stop playing it.